We talk about the OODA Loop all the time: observe, orient, decide, act. Teaching yourself to breathe under slower circumstances when you have to. We've got a call on Bruce Avenue, trouble unknown, a woman screaming for help. This is bigger than it seems, and it's time to start flying over to this call. We've seen a murdered, raped woman. She's taking her last gasp. I remember looking over at my rookie partner, and he's shaking. You know, you pull up to a car accident, or it might be you just got told some terrible news about somebody in your family, or you experienced something very traumatic on your own way. But that's the time to apply this. This is gonna help you build confidence and clarity, and applications and coaching and personal goals. Leadership is consistency of action, so that we are dealing with obstacles, not failures. This one today, we're going to talk about the secrets, kind of the things that I use to deal with stress during like critical incidents, which is like big calls, exciting calls, and how it's kind of played into my business life and personal life and all those things. Dell, who's on the call, kind of inspired me. We went onto a side tangent one day, totally off the topics of what we were doing, and we got into this whole breathing. And sometimes I don't fully maybe appreciate or understand some of the things that maybe I do that could help other people, because it's kind of like it wasn't really something we trained in so much as it was something kind of learned on the go. So I was like, man, this would be a good topic for everybody to kind of get something out of, and I hope you do get something out of that today. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. So the objective today, obviously, is we want to learn how to thrive under pressure and teach you guys some SWAT tests and tips that we used to use to get through what we had to do. One of the craziest things, and I was trying to come up with a cool story for you guys of where I had to apply this. If you see me right in that middle of that camera there, this is awesome for the video. I spilled coffee on me. But anyways, you see me right in the middle of that picture. That's a young Tony Smith. I look a little bit older than Austin there, but no, I was probably in my mid 30s there, and I just got back from SWAT and moved into patrol. And in SWAT, we're really lucky because we're trained at a higher level, and we just do more training. We spend more time with each other, and you know, it kind of again took me for granted kind of the stuff that I had experienced versus this day I was working with a guy who had been on about 2 years. So we were back in patrol for maybe 6 months after spending 10 years in SWAT, and I go grab a Starbucks coffee and just kind of settling into my shift, and it comes over while we're like mixing our coffees in the Starbucks line. You hear on the radio, we've got a call on Bruce Avenue, trouble unknown, a woman screaming for help. Well, you know, I think like if you guys hear that, it might sound a little bit more dire and more emergency, but that call comes in literally, man, 100 times a night. I'm not exaggerating. 10,000 times a week, we probably get a call similar to those circumstances. Then we get the radio comes back again, and we start to, you know, we're just walking out of Starbucks casually at this point because this is the call we do all day long. It's usually nothing. Then we get another call. We're getting calls from more apartments saying they can hear a woman screaming, sounds like she's dying. And so once you start to get multiple calls, that's like an alarm inside your police head that this is bigger than it seems, and it's time to start flying over to this call. So we fly there. When we get there, the doors to this apartment building are wide open, and there's a lady yelling, "Get in here, get in here." We run, we sprint up the stairs, 4 flights of stairs. I've been in this building a million times, so I knew my way around. And when I get to the door, there's a maintenance guy that I recognize. He's like, "Get in here, man, get in here." And when I run in, there's a man, and he's mounted a woman, and it's like a UFC fight. He's like just feeding her, and she's screaming. She's naked, he's naked. When this happens in real life, like that call, what happens to my brain, right? Right away, what happens is the windows, the doors close. All you see is like what you're looking at was through that scope of lens. Auditory exclusion. It becomes very hard to hear. Things become almost like mute. It's very like difficult to hear. It's almost like the Charlie Brown voices are talking to you. And it becomes oddly slow motion. First thing I do when I run into this house is I look, I observe, right? We talk about the OODA Loop all the time: observe, orient, decide, act. And through my training, it wasn't that I was fearless, I was just prepared. This is the point of this. Through my training, before I actually acted, I vividly remember going, exhaling all of that I could, and then taking a big inhale, looking around, and then jumping into action. Rip the guy off of him. I remember, you know, I guess I'll spare you guys the details of what happened there. Delivered first aid to the woman. Essentially, he had raped and murdered her. She had her last breaths right there. But then we went out, cleared the house, locked down the crime scene, got the fire department, got the ambulance. We took care of the whole murder scene, handcuffed the guy, and I remember looking over at my rookie partner, And he goes, he's shaking. And he's a brave man. This is not a cowardly thing. This is a training and experience thing. He's shaking. And I'm like, hey, dude, you good? And he's like, and I go, hey, look at me. Breathe and look around. And this has all happened within 35 seconds. We've seen a murdered, raped woman. She's taken her last gas. We were helping the EMS, deliver first aid. We fought, beat up, and handcuffed the suspect. We had 2 witnesses in the house. We made sure there was no other people in the house, all in 35 seconds. And he's like this, bro, are you okay? Dude, you okay? Look around, breathe. And he looks at me, he goes, what the fuck just happened? We sat down to write our reports and he really couldn't remember. He didn't remember what we did, and he did. He was a hero that day. We lost, I guess, but the intention was heroic, I should say, I guess, since the woman did pass away. But my point is under stress, that is going to happen to you and to everybody. It happens to me. It happened to me there for the minute. It happens to me on a regular basis when stress hits my plate now. And the level of stress that you have experienced is the level of stress you will be able to handle. So we have to fall to our training. So that's where today comes into play. I got to figure out how to do this presentation a little bit better without having to lean forward constantly. Okay, so tactical breathing. This is an odd picture for Fahad to select, okay, because it looks like I'm doing a little bit something different. Del, get your head out of the gutter. So the tactical breathing, and this is the stuff that I think is super applicable to you guys, and I'm really excited to kind of share it with you. Box breathing. Okay, that's kind of like the term that's been coined. I don't know if it's through the yogis or through whatever, through the meditation. Meditation is something I hugely believe in. But box breathing, we used to call it tactical breathing, is something that we used to use 20 years ago, and I had no idea it really had a term. Some people used to teach 7-7-7-7. Some people teach 4-4-4-4. Some people teach a mixture thereof, and depending on who you're listening to. But this is the one that I applied to myself in my own training and how I would deal with things, is box breathing of 4-4-4-4. So meaning that I am going to breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, stay in that exhaled position for 4, and then breathe it back in for 4. So it's 4 out, 4 in, and then 4 seconds in between. For those of you guys in the gym here, think about our tempos, right? 4 down, 4 hold, 4 up, 4 hold, right? So that breathing really is going to activate that parasympathetic system and force us to get out of that fight or flight side of our brain and into the solution-based side of our brain. Think about that story I just told you, me going into that house, fight or flight immediately. What the hell's going on? I got to spring into action versus like, bring it down, look around, aside, orient, act, so that I'm acting more appropriately, safer, more, not necessarily more cautious, but with more safety, more risk adverse. And these can apply to those huge decisions that you're making. John, I see you on this call. This applies to, the big boss man being down, walks into your office and asks you a very stressful question. Now, if we practice that 4-4-4, reduces the cortisol, which helps you sharpen your decision making. But what's gonna happen is, yes, if you think about that, I obviously during that murder situation didn't stop for 4-4-4, but I did stop, right? Just like teaching your kids sports, or Mike, you're on here for fighting, Kritzer, you're a hockey coach. We're teaching like very deliberate, exaggerated footwork most of the time, right? So that under stress, in that full speed of the game, we are going to deliver that footwork at almost, it probably won't be at the 100% exaggerated that we practice it at, but it's gonna get up to the highest point, right? We'll fall to the lowest point of our training or to the highest point of our training. And that's the idea, is that by teaching yourself to breathe under slower circumstances when you have to, when you have time to, that when you really need it and you have to exploit it under stress, you'll be able to do so, right? So when to use that kind of breathing? For me, I practice it every day. I do stop for 5 minutes to meditate, only 5 minutes. I'll start, but right around 2 p.m. today is usually when I do that. And I will practice that breathing. It helps calm me down. It helps to just help me meet my day. Another time to do that is at the gym. So one of the best ways to kind of mimic the stress and the feeling that I just described to you, which for you might be, you pull up to a car accident, or it might be you just got told some terrible news about somebody in your family, or you experienced something very traumatic in your own way. But that's the time to apply this. So practicing it before meetings. You have a big meeting, a big negotiations meeting, a big sales meeting, a big meeting with one of your subordinates. Practice that breathing. Go in there calmly, go in there with an open mind and an open heart. Another great time to do that is before sleep. So if I can't sleep at night, or if I wake up and I'm having trouble tossing and turning, turning. The 4-4-4 box breathing method is something that I will use to get myself back to sleep. So now if everybody could kind of just bear with me, let's give this thing a shot. Okay, so the one thing I kind of like misspoke a little bit, and we're gonna like ignore my slide here, is that so all of you who've been in the gym, and Darwin, I know you only been in there once, but you almost died that day. So think about when you come out of that super high speed, maybe we just did a 2K row or some intervals or a ski relay, you come off that thing and you feel that shortened breath, right? I'm only breathing into like 10% of my lungs. So one thing that I teach people to do and that I have practiced doing, that I did with Randa, my UFC fighter, when she'd come out of the ring and only have 1 minute before her next round starts and she has to think of all this information, is the first thing I'm going to do is to exhale. So I want to take whatever bad stuff I have in there and I want to exhale it out. I want to create more space in my lungs to bring in some good oxygen to calm me down and to get, if you think about that from a physical standpoint, to get into my body to allow me to do some good. So if everybody could just start, let's exhale for 4. So count that out. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it out there, empty lungs. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now breathe in, pursed lips. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice inhale right into the belly, not into the chest. 3, 2, and 1. Do you feel that difference? Do you feel it like right away? You can feel it actually bringing your heart rate down. So anytime that you're challenged, that you're in one of those arguments at work, that you find yourself super frustrated with a mistake somebody just made, right? A lot of people on here in leadership positions are gonna find yourselves in that, very, very frustrated with something that somebody just did, and you cannot explode, because what happens, like we talk about this, everybody on this group is a leader, and you heard me say this before, and I know you practice it, is that when your team is up here, your family is up here, you need to be riding that wave cool and calm in the middle. When your team is down, you need to be cool and calm in the middle. You cannot have the ebbs and flows, the peaks and valleys that your team has. Leadership is consistency of action. Sure, I might pull myself up higher a little bit to pull them up, and I might pull myself down lower. But if you think about that baseline, that's where you need to spend, we all need to spend most of our time. How do we visualize this and how do we practice that? Right, so one thing that SWAT teams do before missions is one of my jobs, coolest thing. It was actually my favorite part of the SWAT, was I would go out and I would get to do what we call a recce. So I would dress like a gangster depending on where I was going. I'd throw on a bunch of jerseys, my big headphones, my baggiest clothes, pack a gun in my pants and go out into the ghetto and have a look at the door we would do. Then I would come back and I would draw it, I'd show them. As the technology increased, I was able to actually go on Google Maps and all these great things, use the technology to show my team where we're going. And then we would do our best case when we could. And this is where I've told you guys in the past, I took architecture. Now, I had no idea that flunking out of architecture would help me in SWAT, but I was able to really lay out the houses that we would potentially be going into as best we could. And a lot of times we'd been in these houses. We'd call up a patrol guy who'd been there, or one of us had been in this house before. We would chalk it out on the floor. We would visualize and mentally walk through these things. This presentation, visualizing and mentally walking through it, how the outcomes, possible outcomes, rehearse them, right? So that we are dealing with obstacles, not failures. So Dell, you got a huge conversation coming up with somebody this week. I'm just speaking hypothetically, but that's a good time to actually sit down, rehearse that, anticipate some questions, anticipate the obstacles, anticipate the fight back, the pushback that you might get from a subordinate or from somebody on the board or another leader of another business that you're looking to partner with or that you need to come to an agreement with, right? This is gonna help you build confidence and clarity and applications and coaching and personal goals. You guys all coached people, have them do the same thing and have them watch you practice it is going to extremely benefit how you can do these things and get them done. If anybody has questions, please come off. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep rambling and we'll take the questions at the end. Right, so structured routines reduce uncertainty, right? Routines equal clarity and focus. Routines create discipline. So I've been working with everybody in this group to really remove the decision fatigue, take away your ability to, your need to make decisions. Something I've just started to do with myself and my morning routine and my nighttime routine, I always say in this group, our routine starts actually the night before, is that I now wear the same clothes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So now you guys, my secret's out, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I work at a different gym. I'm only in those clothes for 3 hours. I don't work out. I change my underwear, my socks, okay, my t-shirt, but I wear the same sweatshirt and sweats. So I come home from work, I take them off, I fold them, I put them right where they're gonna be for the next morning to go, and then I go and do this part of my job, the admin's part of my job. I'm taking away one decision. I don't have to go through and try to find the next sweatshirt, next thing that's gonna match. I just know I'm wearing the same thing every day. Could I get 3 sets? Maybe. Well, I gotta get a few more clients also. Please send your referrals. But you guys follow me. So I'm taking away the need to make decisions. I eat the same freaking thing every day. Decision fatigue, because you guys on this call, all of us, we are leaders and we're making decisions all the time. That's why sometimes when you come home and your wife's like, what do you want to do? You're just like, I don't care, you decide, because you're so sick of making decisions all the time. But really, as the leader in your household, as the man in the house, the man of the house, like I like to say, your wife wants you to make those decisions. Those people in your life, your children, they want you to make those decisions. So give them what they want, give them what they deserve, which is the leader and the protector of their time and their family. Share your morning routine with other people. Be proud of it, right? You don't have to put it out on social media, but what are your daily non-negotiables? What's your morning routine? Myself, I wake up. I actually started waking up 20 minutes early. You guys will make fun of me on this one. I sit with Nacho the cat. He purrs in my lap for about 10 minutes. And then I get up and I make my breakfast. I pack it, grab my lunchbox, and I'm out the door for 2 hours solid at the gym, which point I usually sit down on my computer. And it's like, I could just tell you because I don't have to worry. So I'm taking away this stress of decisions, right? I'm helping myself with the breathing, reducing the stress essentially, so that I don't have to practice my box breathing as much or implement it as much. I'm still gonna practice and always ready for that worst day. All right, so breathing is a great tool. Routines are taught to you in this coaching stuff. We want stability for everybody, right? Your weekly check-ins, stick to them. Having the accountability of a coach, of somebody else, of each other. A lot of times, like, I don't think you guys realize how much your check-ins and when you guys talk to me helps me to get that same kind of thing off my chest, because the discussion goes 2 ways. You guys spend a lot of time coaching me as well. So stick to your check-ins, stick to your daily negotiables, stick to all the things that are helping to make you strong, and that will help to reduce stress. You know that the more prepared you are, the more the game ready you are, the better you're gonna perform in the game. So train like you are going to play. We talk about, stress and the how we can feel the same things as stress, the auditory exclusion, the breathing, the strained breathing, the tunnel vision, is to practice, right? So it's a tool that we train for, breathing and visualizing, but how can we really mimic that? So a couple of things that you can do at home, very, very hard workouts are obvious ones, okay? But ice bath. So an ice bath is one of the ways that you can really get in there and shock your system. So for me, ice bath isn't very realistic every day. I do have the trough, but it's only really good for a few months a year, is ice cold showers. So if you can get into an ice cold shower or an ice bath, if you have that luxury, and you can bring your breathing in within about 15 to 20 seconds, you can handle that, like, whew, that shock. Practice your box breathing, get your heart rate back down, and now sit and breathe through that entire cold exposure. You are going to be very, very strong. And it's actually become like, I've never shied away from my issues with PTSD with you guys. I know that I'm in the right headspace when I can handle those showers. On days where I am not, where I haven't slept, back in the day, I was drinking too much, okay, or I've been fighting, or I just had too much stress in my day, those cold showers, they hit me different and I can't get my heart rate down. So for me, that has become a measuring point, a tool to let myself know that I am prepared or not prepared for this day. Now, if I find that I'm not prepared for this day, well, is that fair now to put myself in front of my team right away? Sometimes maybe I don't have a choice. Is that fair to now spend some time with my kids? Or should I maybe take 10 minutes and just read my book? Or take 10 minutes to meditate? Or go hit a hammer a hard workout, or go for a walk out in nature? Right? That's a good test for yourself to say, like, this isn't fair for me to put myself in front of my team or my family right now, because what happens, we snap on those people we love the most, right? You guys have all heard my story about how I actually went to get help. And it was my little son, 5-year-old at the time, saying, "Dad, why are you always mad? We are good boys." So if you find that you're always mad, you're always, snapping on people that work for you, people that you care about, even more so than people you work for or that work for you, your family, your kids, your wife, whoever that is, your parents, then it's on you to fix that. These are the methods that you can use to fix that. Cold showers, workouts, box breathing, practice, 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 because grit is built, it's not born. That's kind of it, guys, for today. I hope you took something from that. Just to review, we got the box breathing, right? The 4-4-4-4. A little trick of the trade for me is at nighttime for sleeping, I actually elevate that one up to 7. So I'll do a 7 count on everything, except for that exhale. I'm not getting that good at it yet. But so that's one of the ones that I use. Reading, and there's plenty of apps that can help you with the meditation. I use Headspace. I know there's Calm. There's all those ones there. They're very, very good at bringing you down and tranquilizing things.